morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Stitches. I am your yarn host, Jennifer. Today we're making this cute little mushroom amigurumi. This pattern is not going to have exact number of stitches. It is going to show you how to make it by just kind of winging it, because that's the way I do a lot of my crochet, and I encourage you to do the same. Sometimes it's fun to follow a pattern, and sometimes it is fun to just kind of like play with the yarn and understand how it works and how you can create shapes on your own. Excuse me. So there's not going to be an exact number of stitches. I am going to give you an estimate so that you can make this as big or as little as you want it to be. We're going to show you how to make this, the body first. And you can do this with a worsted weight yarn. Of course, you could also do it with a bulky yarn, and you can make like a really big mushroom. That would be cute. Or you could do it with thinner yarns and a smaller hook. And in doing that, you will get a much smaller amigurumi. Today, I don't have a worsted weight like tan or brown or like mushroom stem color per se. So what I'm using is I'm using the Premier Luna. This is a discontinued yarn, but this is what I had in my stash, and I pulled off some, because this is a multicolored yarn, I pulled off some of the yarn and I balled it up, and I'm going to hold this two together because this is a lightweight number 3 yarn, but you could use a worsted weight in replace of this, but that's what I'm using. So if you see that it looks like it's twisted together, 2 different colors marled, that's why. This is what we're using for the stem. I have just your basic worsted weight red. This is from AC Moore. I dropped my mushroom on the floor. This is the Studio Classic by Nicole. This has been in my stash for a long time. Apparently there's something stuck to my label. Alright, so don't mind the sticker. This has just been in my stash for a long time. It actually was in a project bag for a very long time, and I forgot I had it. So I pulled it out because, you know. So we're going to need that, and you're going to need a little bit of white. We also have a little ball of white over here. And that is going to be for the dots on the mushroom. Of course, if you don't want this type of mushroom, you can make any kind of mushroom in any kind of color, with or without spots. Does not matter. And then we're going to need some eyes. These are safety eyes. I got these safety eyes from April at April's Crochet. I will link her below. She gifted me these a year ago. I believe it was a long time ago. That's basically what you're going to need for this. And you're going to need a little bit of polyfill to stuff him. And so our mushroom is not going to be exactly like this, because no 2 mushrooms are alike in nature. And I don't want no 2 mushrooms to be alike in this either. So to get started, I have an H hook. This is my handy dandy furls. This is my favorite crochet hook in life. And we're going to start with the stem. So we're going to do bottom up. And we're going to start with magic circle, magic loop, whatever you want to call it. And because I'm holding 2 yarns together, you're going to see that. But you can do this with just a worsted weight. It would be just fine. So to make a magic loop, and I should probably say this, if my hands look dry and peely, I apologize. I am still recovering from whatever allergy burn that occurred on my hands and my feet. And so I just applied a fresh coat of lotion to try to make it look not so bad, but my hands are still bad. They are healing, they are mending, but it has been a very, very slow process. So please, no nasty comments on that. I'm going to try to adjust my light so that I'm not creating a shadow too much. I had to bring a light in because it is raining and glooming. There's no natural light whatsoever coming through. So my light obviously is right there, which is causing a shadow here. And that's the only place I can put it as of right now. So there's going to be shadows, guys. All right, so to start to make a magic loop, you make it like you're making an awareness ribbon. So you want the short tail underneath on the back. And then you put your hoop facing downward and you pull up a loop. Now this is also a way you can make a slip knot. You just pull that and it would be a slip knot, but that's not what we're doing. So you're going to chain 1, and then we are going to start off with 6 single crochets in this loop. Let me pull you guys in closer so you can see better. There's 1, 2, oops. See, this is the problem with using 2 yarns together, is we're going to have some splitting. 2, 3, 4, 5. To close the loop, you just pull that short tail. And then 6. And this is going to be the bottom of the stem. Pull that really tight. So that's what it should look like. And then we're going to slip stitch in here. This is the one bad thing when it comes to furls, is it has a very rounded head. So the first stitch when connecting that first round and crocheting in the round is always complicated for me. Okay, so we connected it. That's what the bottom should look like. This next row, in every one of these stitches, we're going to put 2 single crochet. So even in this little tight one we just jammed it in, I'm going to put, whoops, 1 and 2 single crochets in that same. And then in the next one, and we're crocheting over the top of this tail, and that locks in so that this magic circle does not open up. So we're going right over the top of that. 1 and 2 in that same hole. See? We're going to the next one. We're going to put 2 single crochets. And yes, you are going to hear noise in the background. Everybody's home today. I am filming this on Wednesday. It is Veterans Day, so happy Veterans Day to anybody who has served, or anyone who has had family members who have served. I recognize your sacrifice as well. Then the next one, we're still crocheting right over the top of that. 1, 2 single crochets in that same stitch. Next stitch, 1, 2. Now at the end of this row you should have 12 single crochets, but if you have 13, if you have 11, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to make a huge difference. Okay, and then this right here, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then we connected here, slip stitch, and that is the second round. I'll show you the bottom. This is the bottom of my mushroom. You can start here if you want a skinny stem, and you can start just going straight, which means you would just keep crocheting in the round without adding anything around and around, and you'll have a real skinny stem. But I want a fatter stem because I like fat mushrooms. I think they're cute. Okay, so what we're going to do to increase on this row, if you're making a fatter stem, is that first stitch where we chained 1 out of after we connected, we're going to put 2 single crochets. In the next stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet. In this next stitch, we're going to put 2 single crochets. And in the next stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet. We're going to do that all the way around. So 2 single crochets in that same stitch, and then 1 in the next, and then 2. And I try to keep my stitches as tight as possible because you don't want like big gaps or big holes, because you'll see the stuffing coming out, and that's just not, I mean, this little tiny hole right here is not going to be a big deal, but like you don't want big gaps in there. So you want to make this as tight as possible. But in doing that, you're going to have like hand pain and wrist pain, because working with these tight stitches like that, our body is not used to that. Unless you make amigurumi all the time, then this is like no big deal, and I don't know why you're watching this. So I'm just going to continue doing 2 in the one, and then 1 in the next. And then this stitch right here looks like a stitch. This stitch always gets me. Is it real? Is it fake? That's a fake stitch. That's actually the bottom of this where you chained out. So you skip this last one and you connect it in the round with a slip stitch, chain 1. Okay. I'm going to take a drink of my drink. I'm drinking Dr. Pepper this morning, Diet Dr. Pepper, even though I'm not supposed to drink caffeine, but I needed the extra today. I needed the extra. It's gloomy. Got a lot to do. And my wrist honestly needed a rest right there, because I do not make amigurumi very often. So in the same stitch we chained 1 out of, we're going to put 2 double crochet, because we're going to increase 1 more round just for the heck of it. And then in the next 2 stitches, we're going to put 1 single crochet. So 1, and then 1. And then in this one, we're going to put 2 single crochets. 1, 2. Now, the next 2 stitches are going to get 1 single crochet each. 1, and then 1. And then this one is going to get 2 single crochets. 1, 2. And then you guessed it, the next 2 stitches are going to get 1 single crochet. 1, 2. Ooh, that light is making me a little bit hot. I don't want to open the windows though, because like I said, it is raining. It's raining pretty loudly. 1, 2. And my wind chime is right outside. Oops, I slipped out. My wind chime is right outside this window. And when it storms or it rains, the wind chime gets kind of loud. It's actually not ringing right now, but I don't want it to interfere with anything. So we did 2 in that one. And then 1 and 1 in the next. And then 2. 1, 2 in the same stitch. And then 1 in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 1. I always get awkward when trying to say how to do this. Patterns are hard enough to read sometimes, let alone try to write them or to verbalize them even. Sometimes I'm like, I know how to write it down so that I understand it. Oops, runaway ball. And then we're going to connect it here because we're at the end of the row. And this is where little tiny scarlet hair in my yarn. Little man had this exact ball of yarn. He was stealing pieces off of it and making a racetrack around the house using this yarn. And I was like, where did you get that yarn at, Lucas? And he said, it's not yarn, it's a string. And so this was on the floor. So now we are done increasing. So when you're done increasing and you want to go up the body this way, you just keep single crocheting all the way in the round, in the round, in the round, in the round. And instead of doing a slip stitch here, we're not going to do that. See, because we don't want that weird line where you connect it. See, kind of right here where you can see there's that line where we joined the rows right here. I don't want that going up the back. So we're just going to, and I will show you, don't worry. I will show you. We're just going to single crochet once in every stitch all the way around. And then when we get back to here, we're just going to put a single crochet in the top of this single crochet instead of slip stitching to connect. And that way we're not going to have a weird jagged line up the back. So we're just single crocheting around, all the way around. So yeah, that's how Scarlett's hair got on this yarn. Until it's Scarlett because she's brown. And Oreo's hairs are always white. Oreo sheds so bad. Oreo is a pointer Dalmatian mutt, but we don't call her that. It hurts her feelings. We just call her a pointmation. She sheds so bad, and I don't know if that's a Dalmatian thing or a pointer thing or whatever else is in her. We know for a fact she's pointer and Dalmatian. We found her when she was a puppy. She was very sick. My neighbor was volunteering at the local animal shelter, And she said they got a puppy in that needs round-the-clock care, and she wasn't able to do it. And she knew that I had wanted a puppy. They thought maybe it was a pit bull puppy because I really like pit bulls. Save me the nasty comments. Scarlet is an American Staffordshire Terrier, and she's mislabeled as a pit bull, as a vicious dog. She is not. Anyway, back to Oreo. Someone abandoned her. They found her outside of a dumpster. She was very, very tiny. She had Demodex, which is a type of mite. She just had, like, her fur was falling off. She was a tiny, scrawny thing. She had a really bad hernia. She needed around-the-clock care, and she needed constant medicine. Oh, I did that wrong. See, I got talking, and I did that wrong. All right, so we're at the end of the row. We put our single crochet here, and then instead of slip stitching here, we're just going to put a single crochet on the top of that stitch. Okay, so it's just going to go, there's going to be a little hole there. That's not a big deal. It will close up as we go around. Anyway, she ended up at the animal shelter. She needed round-the-clock care. I was pregnant with little man, and she needed this really strong, crazy medicine to help her. We fixed her all up, and it was a foster thing. And the reason we fostered her is because the animal shelter said if we foster her while she's healing, they will be able to cover the costs for her medicine and her surgery and all that. And then when all that is done, she will be cleared to be adopted. And that's how Oreo came to live with us. I babied her while I was pregnant with little man, and they grew up together. Well, they're growing up together anyway. They're just going to keep continuing single crocheting around and around and around and around. And I know this is starting to like bow out, but that's okay, because once you get the stuffing in it, you can flatten it. See? And pull it up. But right now it's okay if it just kind of curves and cups on itself. Yeah, so Oreo's hair, she sheds really bad. Everywhere she goes, there's white fuzz and fur, like way worse than Scarlet. And she sheds all year round. It's cute though. They were in the backyard the other day, and there was a mole. We have moles in our backyard, and the dogs keep digging them out and killing them. But I think that's because of Oreo being a pointer. She is very much a bird dog. She is a hunter through and through, even though she has never been hunting. She hunts the yard. That's why I have to be careful with my bird feeders and stuff, because she has brought cardinals into the house, and I was not happy with that. I don't like that. I haven't trained her to be that, but that's just like in her nature. So it was dark out. We were sitting outside by the fire, and we hear them catching something under the rocks. And we went over there, and from the sound of it, we have determined it was a mole that she was getting, just because the way it was chattering. It wasn't a mouse, or it wasn't like a squirrel. It was very distinct. And she does like the pointer leg, where she like holds her leg like this up in the air. She like points, and her tail sticks out. And it's cute because, you know, I actually taught her to do it on command, because every time she would do it, I would say the word pointer. So now when I say pointer, she holds her little leg up. And that's how they knew. That's how they knew when she was very young that she was a pointer, is because she would do that. And her physical characteristics. Anyway, so she's doing that for the mole. And Scarlet is out back. Scarlet is a light chaser. Like, she chases flashlights, lasers. She's like a cat. So we had a flashlight trying to see where this mole was. So Scarlet is now distracted by the light, and she's chasing the light and acting like total crazy. And so my daughter shines the light up on the house, and Scarlet, who is not a pointer at all, started doing pointer with her little leg at the wall on the side of the house. And I started laughing. I was like, Oreo taught her to point. it was adorable. Boop. I missed one of the strings. And see the way this looks very natural to me, the way the two colors are blending together. Just like with this one, I did the same thing, except I used like a off-white yarn here. And see, this is where the color changing happened in the, I just think that looks cool. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. This one, I don't know if we'll get any color change, just because I color controlled to use two of the same yarn instead of two different yarns like I used with that other mushroom. So see, we're just crocheting in the circle, crocheting in the circle, crocheting in a circle. In some of my most recent tutorials, I've been doing some of the same style where I talk to you guys while we crochet together. And it seems to be popular that we do this. So we're trying it again today. We're just going to talk and we're going to crochet together. Or you're just going to watch me crochet and listen to me talk. Because I know there's some of you out there that also will just watch the video first and then decide if you wanted to make it. Hey, I'm cool with it either way. Do you ever, I gotta ask you this, do you ever watch one tutorial while making something different and the person is talking about single crochet, and then you start doing what she's saying like automatically? I have done that. I was watching a tutorial the other night for something. I wanted to see if I wanted to make this thing. So I'm like, I'm going to watch this and see how they make it so I can get an idea. But I was working on a Christmas gift. And so pretty soon I started doing what she was doing on the screen. I wasn't even looking at the screen. I was looking at what I was doing, but just listening to the tutorial lady, I started doing what she was doing. And I was like, right, Jen, pay attention. It's kind of funny. All right, so this is where we're at right now. This is how far I got. You see how it's kind of flat there? Got a little cup. Now, I'm going to show you this one. You see how his body goes out a little bit right here? All I did is like I added like 2 or 3 extra stitches randomly. So instead of a single crochet, I did like 2 single crochets in one here, and then like over here 2 single crochets in one, and then that gave his body a little bit more girth here so that it went out. And then I went up 2 rows and then I decreased. So I did 2 single crochets together, 2 single crochets together to decrease to bring it back in for the top of his head. And I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to keep going straight up. But if you guys totally want to do that, like right here would be a good place. You just put another double crochet or another single crochet in the same hole, and then like every third of the way around do it. And then however many you increase, when you get closer to the top, you can decrease that same amount. So if you increase 3, decrease by 3. And then you have more of a roundish body. But like I said, I don't like any 2 mushrooms to be identical. So we're just going to keep on keeping on. Try to make this as simple and quick as possible. And we are going to make this about the same height as this other mushroom though. Just because. So, I don't know, 4 or 5 inch stem, I think. I'll have to measure that. Just keep going until, and like I said, I want you guys to make this your own mushroom. Like with everything, every tutorial I do, I encourage you, unless it's somebody else's pattern that I'm showing, like if I like the Elena wrap or something from Premiere, I encourage you to follow that pattern just because it's not my pattern. But when it's something that I'm doing for you guys, or it's a pattern or a tutorial, I absolutely always encourage you guys, make it your own. I don't care if this is like a psychedelic rainbow mushroom. I am cool with that. You want to make this an all black mushroom? Go for it. I have seen, like, I am actually really fascinated with mushrooms. In Michigan, I lived, like I said, I grew up in the ghetto. There was not, I mean, my grandfather lived down the street, and he had wildlife, and he had a little vegetable garden and all that, but other than that, like, there's not a lot of life in the ghetto. There's trees, and some people have grass, some people don't have grass. You know, it's just not a very beautiful place. And even after I moved out of the ghetto, when I met Mr. Cinnamon and we moved on to places, we always lived like in a neighborhood, and the neighborhoods we lived in were not far from where I grew up. And so there wasn't a lot of nature around us, even though I've always had a love and a passion for nature. But when I moved to Virginia, when we moved here, this is the first time I actually saw like wild mushrooms. That, I mean, in Michigan, there was some brown ones on occasion, but not anywhere that I ventured off into, you know, like there wasn't anything cool. And so when we moved here, the first year we moved here, there was a hurricane. And the hurricane, it rained for 10 days straight and flooded our basement of the house we were living in. It was like a whole thing. And we went venturing out to the battlefields, which is preserved land, and there's a lot of like wooded areas and just nature around us where we live. And so we've always loved just hiking, adventuring. And so that's the first time I actually saw a red mushroom that looked very much like this. And I actually have a picture of it somewhere, but it's on a hard drive somewhere. That was 9 years ago. But it was so cool to me, and I've just been fascinated with mushrooms ever since. And like, since living here, I have seen so many varieties of mushrooms in the wild, even in my yard. I will say we have a giant evergreen tree along the side of our house. It is giant, and underneath, because of the needles and stuff, it always stays like really moist. And we have really clay ridden soil, so it's always moist. And so after a good rain, we always get like all these mushrooms that pop up in our yard. It's never any of the cool red ones, but I have seen the cool red ones a lot since living here. Carrie Penny from the Happy Crafty Homemaker is actually the one who inspired me to make a mushroom. She was talking in one of her videos how she really loves mushrooms and like them old style, like, you know, decor with the mushrooms on it, with the browns and stuff. And I was like, that would be such a cute idea, is to crochet a little mushroom, because I could see it in my head as she was talking about exactly what I wanted to make. So this is inspired by Miss Carrie Penny at the Happy Crafty Homemaker. I will link her below if I remember. We're just continuing on. My color looks like it's starting to... No, maybe not. Thought it was starting to change. It's not. We might have just all one color stem. I really like this because... Let me show you. This is like a peachy color mixed with the brown. And I don't know if it's coming through on the camera as well in here. But it's got like a little bit of a sheen to it. I just think that's so pretty. You hear little man playing in the other room. I'm behind a closed door, but he's just a loud kid. And it makes me laugh because my mom... Oh, I feel bad for my mom. Now, you guys know my mom's been passed a long time. She has never met little man. She died when my daughter was 5. It's been a long time. But when I was a little girl, she would always say, why are you so loud? Because I was a loud kid. I was very loud. I was very high strung. I was very much like little man. And so now I hear myself saying some of the same words she used to say to me. Like, why are you so loud? Can you not hear yourself? My mom used to say that all the time. She thought I was hard of hearing because I was so loud. And truth be known, I probably am hard of hearing. I probably am. I do have hearing issues. I probably have always had hearing issues, but when you're a little kid, you don't know the difference. But yeah, that was her famous saying. Why are you so loud? Can you not hear yourself? I talked loud. I think I talked loud, though, to get people to understand me or hear me or actually listen to me. I had a lot to say and I got ignored a lot. Probably because I was so loud and obnoxious, but sometimes I think back to my childhood and dealing, especially with my daughter. My daughter is very much my personality when I was a teenager. And sometimes I just want to, like, call my mom and apologize to her. Can't do it, though. No phones in heaven. But yeah. Not that my daughter is bad or that I was bad, but, you know, I just think when you're a teenager, you say stuff and you don't think. And I'm sure I sent my mother crying several times just saying stuff that I wasn't thinking about. That makes it sound like my daughter's a horrible person. She's not. My daughter is, she's a really good kid. She's a really good kid. And I love her, but she is very much my daughter. She is so me. She doesn't listen to people when they give her advice because she's smarter than everyone. So you gotta let her learn the hard way. She's very opinionated, and that was always me. I was very opinionated as a teenager. Not so much anymore. I just keep my mouth quiet. Shh. Like, Jen, just because you think it don't mean you need to say it. That honestly is one of my best and my worst qualities. How honest I am. But with that, I'm also blunt. Like I said, best and worst qualities. I think we're almost getting there, guys. We're almost getting there. I'm sure you guys could fast forward through all this jibber jabbering too. If you don't want to hear me talk while we crochet, that's cool. This is probably going to be a long video. Just because we're going to make this together. What do you guys think? You think that's a long enough stem? Let's see. Maybe 2 more rows. Maybe 2 more rows. It doesn't matter where the row starts or stops because we're going to connect that red in to make the, I forget what that's called, the underside of the mushroom. The gills. Is it called the gills? That sounds about right. Wow, that yarn on that needles, or the hooks, are getting kind of loud. Getting kind of loud. And we're going to stop at this point when we get to this the second row. We're going to stop and put our eyeballs in. Our eyeballs. Now, you don't have to put, you absolutely do not have to put safety eyes. If you are good at embroidering, by all means. This would be really cute with those little slanty smiley face eyes that are very popular with amigurumi or kawaii style. If you can embroider, by all means, embroider. Sew on some eyes, put some felt, it doesn't matter to me. It's your mushroom. But I'm using safety eyes because that's what I like. That's what I got. I think I might have to actually order some more because there's a couple of things coming up that I want to make for either Christmas, for myself, or for gifts. I think it's going to need some different eyeballs. I have no idea if this is row 2 or not, but we are going to slip stitch here. And we're going to cut. And close that off. Okay. Now comes the fun part because we get to pick our eyeballs. All right, we have red. Like I said, I don't have very many. I have blue. And I have red. You guys think the red would be cute with the red hat, the red top? What do you think? I think that would be cute. A little bit creepy, but it'll be cute. And then this is how I do it. I just pop it on somewhere. This one's got a back on it already. I hope I can get that off. Oop, you might not be using red. You got green. Yeah, just black. You think just black? Maybe that red's got a back on it. Yeah. Alright, you do black. Just gonna do black. And that red would have been cute, but and these are actually gonna be really big eyes for this little tiny amigurumi, but I'm gonna pop it on right here. What do you think? Yeah? Damn big eyes. That's alright. So we're about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In between the 5th and the 6th row down. We want to make sure we're in the same row here. Right there. Yeah, right there. Push those in. Yeah? Then we'll come inside and we'll put the back on. Click it on. Click this on. There we go. There's his little eyeballs. We'll flatten his bottom. Oh yeah, he's cute. Cute, cute, cute. Alright, now we're going to attach the red. Now, there is some sewing because this part and this part is done separately. So, we're going to sew on the gills first. I'm going to bring you up a little bit. I'm going to start with a slip knot. Okay. And then I like to attach where right before I made this knot, so it kind of goes over the top. And then we're just going to connect it and then make a slip stitch and pull that tight. Okay. And then we're going to chain 1, 2, and we're going to put a double crochet right here. Okay. And then the next one where that knot is, we're going to put 2 double crochets. And the reason we're doing 2 double crochets is because we are increasing, because we want this to lie flat. So all the way around. I apologize if that squeaking is irritating you. I don't know why it's squeaking all of a sudden. I think it's squeaking because of the lotion that I have on my hands. As you can tell, as time goes on, the lotion is actually coming off of my fingers. So we're just going to go all the way around. We'll do 2 double crochets all the way around. Oh yeah, the squeak is bad. Oh. Hopefully it's not too loud on your end. It's because I have lotion on my hands, which is coming into the yarn, and then it's causing issues. Actually, I always have this problem when I have lotion on, but if I don't have lotion on, I can't crochet right now, and my hands look way worse when they're not lotioned up. Way worse. So we're just doing double crochet all the way around. 2 double crochet in each. I crocheted right over the top of that tail just to give it a little extra security in there. I apologize if you hear Mr. Cinnamon cussing. I don't know if you guys can hear him. He's in the other room. He is building, it's a STEM project with Little Man. They're making a robot, and he dropped something on the floor. So if you heard him, I apologize. I mean, I'm not going to pretend I don't say cuss words in real life. I do, but I try not to put that on the channel. I try to be respectful and use my church words. Church words. Or grandma word. I usually call it grandma talk. Because I don't curse in front of grandma. Just out of respect. I mean, she don't like it, but as long as you don't say the F word, she's cool. But she don't like the F word. I don't blame her. I don't blame her. Okay, the big eyes are kind of growing on me, guys. I think the big eyes are so cute. What do you guys think? Look at that. He's starting to look like a mushroom. I'm going to pause for 1 second. Alright, sorry. Little Man decided he's going to turn music on. I don't want to get in trouble from YouTube for having music in the background. They are very, very picky and we're quick to copyright you. Even if it's in the background and it wasn't intentional. So I just got to turn that down. Had him turn it down. I kind of winged this whole, even right now I'm kind of winging it. We're just going with the flow. And we're just going to, we got all the way around. We're going to slip stitch this to connect. And then we're going to do one more round. So his hat brim is bigger. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do a double crochet. And then instead of doing 2 in every stitch all the way around, we're going to do like we did on the bottom. And we're going to do 2 in this one, and then 1 double crochet in the next one. And then 2 together, or not together, 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And then 1 in the next stitch. And then 2 in this next stitch. And we're just going to do that all the way around because we're increasing and we want it to basically lay flat like that. And then 1, and then 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, and 2. Really looking forward to opening these windows. It's raining, but it's really hot in this room. And I like listening to the rain. Does anybody else like listening to the rain? The rain is different here in Virginia than it is in Michigan. In Michigan, we would have like thunderstorms, and we had a lot of thunderstorms. A lot of like tornado warnings and all that. And here, we just get buckets and buckets and buckets of rain. And buckets. Yeah. And I don't mind it. I don't mind rainy days. This today, because it's not cold outside and it's rainy, it reminds me of like in Michigan, like the first day of school or like the first week of school. Like it would still be like summer temperatures, but you know, you get the rain and then the smell of the leaves. Oh man. That's what's going on today. Sometimes I miss Michigan weather, and when the winter comes, I don't miss it at all. at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. I used to love tobogganing and sledding in the snow. I love taking my daughter, because my son never lived in Michigan. I love taking my daughter to go do those things, and my nieces, but I don't miss 4 months of winter at all. I had a really hard time. I still do. Like when there's a lot of dark days in a row, I have a hard time. My body does not do well. My brain, my psychological issues do not do well. So that's why I like living down here, where we get nice days. The first time we came to Washington, D.C., which is about an hour north of us, where I'm at now currently. First time I ever visited Washington, D.C., my daughter was about 5. And it was the year before we moved here. And we were here for something for Mr. Cinnamon, preparing to get a job here and all that good stuff. Anyway, it was February and it was 55 degrees. And you will know, if you live in any of those northern states, 55 degrees in February is nice. That's like t-shirt weather for us. Because, you know, we're used to like February's like 30 degrees. So you get them 50-degree days. Oh man, it was so nice. I was like, ooh, this is really good weather. And now, every year in February, my daffodils start blooming, which doesn't happen until like late March, sometimes late April, where I was from. I just love that. Really short winters. Am I just steadily going around them little eyes? Or I should say those big giant eyes. At least that squeaking stopped. Right? You can hear my fingernails on the yarn, but that was going to drive me nuts. I'm glad that stopped. Little man must be watching Disney World Christmas videos. I hear the music. He is in overdrive the past couple of days. He went to the dentist yesterday. And because he's 6 and because he has ADHD, they have to take extra precautions with him. So they gave him laughing gas, and I tried to prepare him ahead of time that they were going to give him air that smelled funny, and it was going to make him feel funny. And he liked the laughing gas. As soon as they turned it on and he got some in his system, he started giggling. It was kind of cute, but he's been like in full-on overdrive the past several days, just with the excitement, everything going on, and I don't know, school, just everything has been topsy-turvy crazy for him. He's having a hard time focusing. He's like bouncing around the house. All right, so we did that. That is what it looks like. Not perfect. Got a little ruffle to it, but that's okay because it's a mushroom, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it here. We are going to knot it off. And we're done with the bottom. And now we are going to work on the cone shape top. So we're going to do this top down. And let's get started. All right, I had to take a little second break, but we're back. We're back. We are going to start again with a magic circle. Same way we started the bottom. We are going to again put 6 single crochets in this magic loop. 2, 3, oops, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull that tight. Stay on frame, Jen. Stay on frame. I keep going way over here. It's because my camera comes out too far from the special tripod that it's on. I just need to slide my chair over. Anybody else's hands hurting at this point? Yeah, me too. I'm going to slip stitch. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to do just like we did at the bottom here, and we're going to do 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around, but the next row is going to be different. 1, 2. And the reason is because we're not going straight out this time. We're kind of going out, down, out, down. Now, again, we're going to be working in the round, but we kind of want to keep track where the beginning of the row is. So this is where stitch markers come in handy. So that we can keep track just where that row is, because we're going to not have a stop start. So we're going to put this right here before we connect. That way we can continue to go in the round and not have that weird line here. We don't want that because we're going out and around and down. So we're going to connect this with a single crochet. And because our stitch marker's in there, we got to do it extra tight around that. Okay. Now, in every stitch, we're just going to do a single crochet all the way around. Because now we want it to go out, down, out, down. And that's how we're going to get that effect, is we're going to do a row of increases, a straight row, a row of increases like that. And again, you guys, this does not at all have to be perfect. My little tail came up. I'll pull that through later. Around, 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 and around. Just single crochet in. And now we're back to this first stitch. I'm going to pull my tail through real quick because it's in my way and I don't like it. All right, so we're back to here. So we're going to do another row of increase, but we have to try to keep track. If you need a pen and a paper to do this, and you just write down that the last row that you increased was 2 single crochets in every stitch, write that down. And then the next row after the straight crochet, I hope I'm not losing you guys and confusing you guys, it will be 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and then 1 single crochet in the next, and then 2 in 1, and then 1 in 1, and then 2 in 1, and then 1 in 1. 2 and 1, and 1 and 1, and 2 and 1, and 1 and 1, and 2 and 1, and 1 and 1, and 2 and 1, and 1 and 1. And see, we're back to where the stitch is, and you can move this up if you need to. Up 1, up 1, up 1. So now this next row is just going to be 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around again. Round and round we go. Where it stops, no one knows. I'm going to stick with you through the whole cap of this so that there's no confusion. No confusion. However, I'm not going to show you, at the end of this video, I'm not going to show you how to make these, because you already know how. You just need to crochet in the round like you did the bottom of the stem, and then you sew those on. So we're not going to show you how to make the dots, because it's not a big deal, and you guys already know how to do that. You guys got this. This is not hard. It's not hard. And see how it's starting to curve down? Okay, so now we're somewhere around where this stitch is. So now we're going to do another increase row. So we're going to go 2 in 1 stitch, and then over the next 2 stitches we're just going to do a single crochet, and then 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and then single crochet and single crochet, and then 2 single crochets. You're going to do this all the way around. And 2. And let me remind you, if you lose track and you don't remember what row you're on, just kind of guess. This is something that, it's like sculpting in a way, like sculpting with yarn. You have to understand how to make something 3D, okay? But if you mess up, you can take it back a little bit. You can play with this to make it more rounded. Just don't overthink it. These are not meant to be perfect. Nothing in nature is perfect, so why should this be any different? Okay, so we're kind of approaching the spot. So now we're just going to, you guessed it, single crochet all the way around. And you probably have figured out how to make the entire mushroom cap at this point. You just need to do a straight row, do an increase row, do a straight row, do an increase row, do a straight row, do an increase row. And every increase row will change just a little bit. So the first one will be 2 single crochets in every stitch. And then the next increase row will be 2 double crochets, single crochet, or not 2 double crochets, two single crochets in one stitch, a single crochet in the next, and then so it'll be 2 1 2 1 2 1 all the way around. Then the next increase row will be 2 1 1 2 1 1, and then the next row after that will be 2 1 1 1 2 1 1 1, and then the next row will be 2 1 1 1 1. So each one you will increase the amount of single crochets between the 2 single crochets in the same stitch. I hope that makes sense. But that's all there is to this. And it doesn't, see, I leave this here, but like, it's not an exact thing. You're kind of just estimating where you want to go. So now we're in an increased row again. So we're going to do 2 single crochets and then 3 in between. Because even I forgot what my last row was because now I got talking. But that's okay. It doesn't really matter. It will only change it slightly. That was 1, 2, 3. Right? Nope. Nope. That was 2 and 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 and 1. And also, I will say this. If you want this to not decrease like so slowly like this is doing, if you want it to be more round, do like 2 increase rows and then a straight row, and then 2 increase rows and then a straight row. You can change it up and it will change the shape of the mushroom. Just play with it. Matter of fact, that might be what I do. And then, to better keep track, you can just move this up. This is the beginning of the row here. And so I'm going to do another increase row here. So we got 2 in there. So now we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 this time. And then we're going to do 2 double crochet. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 double crochet. 1, 2. And you see how it's increasing faster now? Because we put 2, and that's what you could do up here too, is if you wanted to do 2 increased rows up here together, it would make this more flat, more rounded. That is perfectly okay with me. Do it however you want. I think my goal when it comes to teaching you guys things, teaching crochet, is I want there to be a day where you guys have grown enough and learned enough that you don't need my tutorials so much. Like, you can watch my tutorials to learn maybe a new technique or something, but I want you to be able to go and make stuff on your own and design stuff on your own if you feel like you can do that. I certainly feel that you can do that. It's just a matter of watching different techniques, learning how to do the different techniques, and then you can put those techniques together and make pretty much anything your heart desires. So that's why I leave so much of it open to you guys, is I want you to understand that you can be a designer, you can be independent, and you can like learn the techniques from us, but then you can go on your own and create. Because if it wasn't for Jada and Stitches, I wouldn't know how to do most of this. She taught me so much, and then I just went out on my own and started making stuff from what I learned from her. All right. So I did 2 increased rows together. I am going to do just a straight a straight row now. So I'm just going to single crochet all the way around just to bring it back down a little bit. And that's basically this whole mushroom pattern, is playing with it to get the shape of the mushroom cap that you want. Some people envision mushroom caps to be more phallic looking, to be like more pointy headed and all this, and some like them more like rounded and cartoonish, and you know, you can change this pattern up any way you want to make it more pointy, to make it more rounded, whatever your preference. Whatever your heart desires. I would really like to see some of these mushrooms in rainbow color. I think that would be cool. Like some rainbow yarn that I happen to have behind me. A neon mushroom. Yeah, that would be cute. A glow-in-the-dark mushroom. That would be cool. I don't expect you to go out and buy that really expensive glow-in-the-dark yarn, though. That stuff is outrageous. It's neat, but it would be neat if you were making this for, like, a little kid who's afraid of the dark. Make him a little glow-in-the-dark mushroom for his room to keep him safe. But yeah, that yarn is expensive. Now we're just going to keep doing this increase straight until it is this big around. So that's all there really is to this. All right, now we're at the back of that row, back to that row. And the way you will know is if you're done, you're going to be able to set your little hat on here. And it will line up here. So this obviously needs to be a lot bigger. And then we're just going to sew this all the way around. All the way around. All right, this video is getting really long. So I think I'm going to do the next several rows on my own. And I'm going to trust you guys to do the same. Now you do not have to follow exactly like this. You can do your increase rows, like do 2, 3, 4 increase rows, and then do straight row. And however you want to make it whatever shape that you want. It could be more rounded. It could be more pointy. It will change. Like more pointy, you will do increase, straight, increase, straight, increase, straight. If you want it more rounded, do 2, maybe 3 rows of increase, and then do a straight row. 2, maybe 3 rows of increase, and do a straight row. And it will be more rounded like this one. All right, guys, I will be back in a bit. All right, so we are back. This is what my mushroom cap looks like. You see, I moved that down to there so I can keep track of where the beginning of my row is. This is very pyramid cone shaped. Okay, and the way we measured it is we took this and we fit it over top, and we want to make sure that it is really close to the same size. What we're going to do is we're going to seam this up here. Now, if you choose at this point, you can absolutely single crochet this all the way around. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to hand sew, but if you want to single crochet, that would certainly not be difficult. You just hold these two together, you go through both, and you single crochet. I'm not going to do that because I want more of a seamless look like that is here. So we're going to cut a very long piece of this. Okay, move everything back out of my way. We are going to slip stitch it here and then pull through, whoop, to bind off. Pull that kind of tight. I'm going to pull you guys up a little bit because it's not such a detail thing. But I do need extra room. I need extra room. Let me find one of my bigger needles. This one's certainly too big. There we go. All right. we're going to remove this. This is where things get serious. We're going to stuff our little mushroom body. And I did open the window, so if you hear the rain, I could not stand the hotness in this room any longer. I'm going to stuff that. See, it doesn't take a lot, but you want to push down. You want his body to be kind of sturdy because you see he's standing up. We want him to be able to stand up. And then we're going to stuff the head at the same time. And what I do is, hang on, let me grab them. If you have these little safety pin style stitch markers, you're going to want to use them. 10, maybe 10 or so. I'm going to thread my needle. Cue the wind chime. If you hear my wind chime, it's because of the storm outside. Okay, we're going to take, you want to make sure you form that good. You can add more stuffing after you start connecting this. It's not a big deal. You're going to pinch the sides together. And you're going to, regular safety pins would work for this as well. You're just going to randomly, every couple stitches, we're going to throw in one of these plastic safety pins just to hold it. Does not at all have to be perfect. But this way we can get everything lined up and held together. This will help keep the stuffing in. Because see, that stuffing wants to pop out. Let me just pull you up a little bit more. And just keep pinning this all the way around. I think we're going to need a couple more. Gonna need a couple more. If at any point you get this on sealed a little bit and it just doesn't quite feel sturdy enough, sew it up, and then you can come back in when you're almost done and just stick some more stuffing in there. And that's probably what we're going to do. But right now we're going to just finish pinning just to keep it. And I do apologize for the background noise. Alright, now to get started, we're going to go through. Make sure you get through both loops, just for sturdiness. And, oops, pull it all the way through. We're just going to do this all the way around in every stitch. Like I said, you can absolutely connect this using single crochets if you want. Ain't gonna hurt my feelings none. If it makes your job easier, you don't like sewing, single crochet. It's all good. I don't mind hand sewing. Actually, when I learned to sew when I was a teenager, I was self-taught. I hand sewed everything because we did not have the money for a machine. So I hand sewed, and I hand sewed a lot of stuff. I really liked making baby stuff, so I would hand sew baby blankets with like a really nice satin trim around it, and I would hand sew big pillows, and yeah. We're just stitching around. If you guys can hear that rain, I hope that it is a peaceful thing and not an irritating thing to you. I absolutely love listening to the rain, but it is absolutely downpouring. My neighbor across the street, the driveway that I stood in to show you guys our Halloween decorations, their driveway is like a water slide right now. The water's just like pouring down their driveway because it's like on a very big slant. And the little man was talking about how he wants to go play in the water slide. See, we're just going around trying to get every stitch, trying to line them up. Now, because we didn't count our stitches, you may have an extra amount of stitches, a couple of extra stitches here and there. And that's fine. That's not anything to worry about. Just try to make it as even as possible so you don't have like wrinkles or folds, which I have been known to do. Ah, my thread keeps getting caught on the corner of the table. My yarn. And then when you're all done with this, and actually before you even connect this, if you wanted to add the white dots on before you could, it might make your life a little bit easier. You stop right now and go do that if that's what you want to do. Or I'm going to add mine afterwards. It's not a big deal to me. I can't believe we're almost done with our little mushroom, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you like the mushroom. And honestly, with all my tutorials, I tell you guys, see, this part seems kind of flat, so that's going to need some more stuffing. With all my tutorials, I ask you, please, if you make this, I would love to see it. You can email it to me, a picture. You can send it to my Instagram. You can tag me, hashtag Cinnamon Stitches on Instagram. You can post it in the Facebook group. I love seeing your guys' work. I love seeing your creations. I love seeing your interpretations of what I have tutorialized. Yeah, that definitely needs more. Lots more stuffing. Actually, I'm going to show you one more thing before this is finished that I don't think I'm going to do on this mushroom. But do you see how it's pinched here? To give it like a fold over effect here, so it's more fold down. And it creates the more of the gill look. All I did was I sewed up and down just in random spots. Just to pinch it all the way around like that. You can do that. I'm not going to with this little guy because I kind of like the way he looks. But you can absolutely do that to get that more pulled down effect. Like I said, I want this to be your mushroom, not mine. I'm stuck. We're sewing up a mushroom. This is a lot of fun. You guys can have Patricia to thank for this tutorial. Patricia, well, also Carrie Penny. Carrie Penny inspired me to make the mushroom, but Patricia from the Purple Yarnivore talked me into making this tutorial. So I will link Patricia below as well. She is absolutely delightful. She is a big goofball. She makes a lot of the stitch markers that you will see me make. This is a shameless plug for Patricia. This is one of her stitch markers. Her stitch markers are actually, I mean, these are cool for something like this, but when I'm knitting or something, I go to her stitch markers first. I just like the way she makes them. I like the simplistic design of them. She doesn't make them real long and dangly, so they don't snag on anything. Her little charms are always like, well, at least the ones I have bought are always, I don't want to say they're all lightweight because some of them are heavy, but they are definitely, they don't snag on stuff. They're kind of like, you know, I don't know. They're just the kind of stitch markers I like, that I reach for. I'm going to add a little bit more stuffing to this because I feel like his head is a little bit deflated. You don't want to make him too over. See, there was some white hair. I don't want to make him overstuffed. I don't want him to be. I want him to be firm. I want him to be sturdy. Yeah, I think that was enough. Just that little bit extra. He is so cute. These definitely have like a cartoon video game type of feel to them. You guys, I broke down and I actually did give the other one I made, the very first one I made, a little man. He was so happy to have his little toadstool guy. So happy. Then of course, when you get done with this, don't be afraid to manhandle it, to squish that. I showed you guys this with my pumpkins. Don't be afraid to manhandle it, to squish that stuffing into the shape or the smoothness that you want. Just squish it and squeeze it. That's what I do. I don't know, it's feeling flat again. Yeah. What do you guys think? That is cute. I think it needs just a little pinch more. Right where I'm working, it feels flat. There. See, and just adjust it as you go. Adjust the fluff that he needs. And like I said, I'm not going to show you guys how to do the white dots because it's just working in the round. It's exactly how you created the bottom. So if you get confused and you want to re-watch that, the bottom part of the stem, just go back to the beginning of the video and do those 6 single crochets in a magic loop. In the next row, do 2 in every single crochet. And then you have this size spot. You can make smaller spots just by doing that first row. You make bigger spots by going up the next row. Whatever you want. You can make little furry. Oh, if you have like fuzzy yarn, you can make little furry dots. That would be so cute. I want to see somebody do that. If you do that, I want to see. I might actually do that with this. I have a little bit of white fluff and stuff over there that I didn't use from my Mary Maxim knit kit. Have a little bit left over. That would be really cute. Now at this point, if you want to make this little pinched part, this is where you would do it. You just come in here like that and then come back this way and then just keep doing that along, and it will pinch this and pucker it so that it folds down a little more, but I'm not doing that. So we are going to weave this in back and forth a couple of times. Try to get it in the stitches. And this will lock your so you don't have to knot it. It will lock it in. Just weave it in a couple times. Come on. I may have crocheted or knitted or so yeah. I do too many crafts, guys. I can't keep them all straight. I may have sewed these too tight. Just weave it back and forth. Usually 3 times will do it. That's what I like to do, is 3 times. Oh, come on. There we go. And 3 times. And then we are done with this. Where did I put my scissors? Well, I have extra ones in here. This is why I always keep several pairs of scissors. I always lose them. You just clip it off. And it's locked in. And guess what, guys? The body of your mushroom is done. And like I said, just squish it into the shape that you want. See, you could make it more pointy. You can jam it in there. So you make it more rounded. He's not perfect right there, but I don't care. So I love, he's so cute. Look at that. Oh, look at that little face. You can, of course, also embroider the rest of the face if you want, but I just like the little mushroom, little eyeballs. He might be my favorite. I don't know if I'm going to add dots or not. So there you have it. Little mushroom tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking along this long video with me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.